Classically, you go to the doctor, you don't ask about their diploma. You don't try to confirm what their education was. And of course, education, the system, you have people that are biased, teaching other people, creating bias, and that whole part of the industry. But also you're getting on Instagram and social media, it's getting to the point where there's this huge, right now, because social media is so still fresh, I think we take it for granted that we think we're experts with social media and with this kind of like new society. But when you put a PhD, when you have an MD, when you have a nutrition certification, all of a sudden you put that in your bio and it becomes extremely weaponized, everything that you say. So if she says she's a social worker, whatever the fuck that means, obviously she's a clown, but it will give credibility for a lot of people. It gives authority right away. I have a, PhD. This is like, I don't give a fuck. And obviously, Alan, you've been on a rampage with, the whole PhD and Stepani and all those videos about people that claim and throw around a piece of paper. Anyone that has education, that actually went to school, you should understand, like, that's a piece of paper. You were taught by other people. Like, you were literally, you sat in a room and you were taught certain things. You had certain requirements. Now you can go on Google and you can educate yourself. And you can learn yourself, but the people that have the paperwork or the letters still hold credibility, and that makes their message even more dangerous when it's misaligned.
The issue with PhDs is this, though. You get to put doctor in front of your name, no matter what the fuck you can have a PhD in tiddlywinks, and you get to put doctor in front of your name.
That's only a 2-year PhD, by the way.
That's a 2-year PhD, yeah.
It's a good one. I like that class.
It used to be a master's.
But in reality, that's the truth. So a person can be like, I'm Dr. Jim, whatever the fuck his dumbass fucking 4% body fat name is.
But was it 20 pounds or 30 pounds in like 2 months or something? Or
20 to 30 pounds in like 8 weeks or something. Like
muscle mass.
That's like when he was like, I did the one video on him where that dumbass motherfucker's like, I'm just going to hang around 4% body fat. Like, what the fuck, man?
Shut
like,
every fuck up.
There's a camera on you right now. Like
we're looking at you, right? We can see.
40% body fat, I can see the striations in your fucking eyelids, motherfucker. It's so stupid. But PhD, like, people will say that I'm a doctor this, doctor that, like fucking Lane Norton and shit like that. Like, everybody's like, well, listen to Lane, he knows about fucking he knows about squatting. His PhD is in nutrition. His squat form's gonna fucking cripple him, and it has several times already. One does not translate to the other. Like, it doesn't. And I appreciate the fact that they go through, like, there are PhDs in my family. So if you're watching, I appreciate the fact that you know what the fuck you're talking about when it comes to your fucking subject. But when it comes to something you don't know what you're talking about, the doctors put that shit the fuck away. Yep. Yeah. A lot of medical when I train people in person, almost all my clients were medical doctors, like doctors and nurses, because they know that it's like first of all, it's like one of the most unhealthy fields to ever fucking be in. Almost every nurse has a blown out back because they have to move morbidly obese patients all the fucking time. And almost every doctor is the most deconditioned human being ever because they stand or sit in front of a computer and they eat almost every meal standing up in like hand food. It's like they live on burritos and taquitos and shit,
I had a great situation when I first started training. I moved down to Florida and I had one of my first private clients. And this is my first foray into, because you're a doctor doesn't mean you know what you're talking about, or you have experience in all fields of health, which is that, I mean, who's knowledgeable in all fields? I mean, no one knows everything, but you assume, doctor, if there's anything with the body or health, or you're an expert on it. Right. And that's anything close to the truth. And I was training him and he was sweating like crazy. And we were doing stabilization stuff, and we're doing some, basic things, some walking lunges, maybe like some side shuffles. It was just like some small little gym in his condo, and, big time doctor, young and everything. And he was like out of breath and sweating. He goes, oh my God. He goes, I'm fucking out of breath. I'm sweating like crazy. He looked at me and he goes, why is that? And he looks at me and asks that question with a puzzled look on his face. And I was so dumbfounded. I forget I blacked out. I forget what I responded with, but I was so shocked that he even asked that question. And it wasn't to see if I knew. He had no fucking idea why he was so out of breath. Mm-hmm. And that was my first little education on, okay, you know about those things. You know about shooting Botox into someone's forehead. You don't know about moving or walking or doing a fucking push-up.
Well, see, this is what I wanted to talk about. What I think one of the things that people don't realize is knowledge is incredibly powerful. Yeah. So the more knowledge you have, the better decisions you can make. And so when people have this faux knowledge, right? They have a PhD in something, or like even like I go to a 24-hour fitness, right? And I see personal trainers and I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel bad for your client. And I'm not a personal trainer. I don't have any certification, right? But I've done so much research on YouTube and Google, not saying that I'm better than anybody else, but it's like I feel very confident in my knowledge. Does that mean I'm going to go up to people and be like, this is what you should do? No. But it's like you can get the knowledge without having the PhD, without having the personal training certification, without having all of that other stuff, right? And so that is my goal with my channel, is to give the knowledge to people. Mm-hmm. And recently I was like, someone messaged me, they said I was being fat phobic because it was actually a doctor that posted before and after, 2 different hearts. One was fatty, one wasn't, right? Talking about the difference between obesity is not just skin deep, fat goes all the way to your liver and all that stuff, right? And then so most people totally fine, they got where I was coming from. But then I got a DM, and normally I never respond. But this person, they were saying that I was saying that I hated myself, so that's why I changed. And I was like, that's not true. I've always said that I loved myself and I wanted to live longer is why I changed, right?
Yeah.
But then they kind of went on this whole thing of, okay, then why were you ever obese? Why were you obese? And you must have hated yourself. And I said, no, I didn't have the knowledge. I didn't know what I was doing.
Awesome
and
point.
So I didn't have the knowledge of the food I was eating. And there were, without a doubt, there are people that do hate themselves. And, the people that are 600-700 pounds that are just eating themselves to death. They don't care anymore. Mm-hmm. But the vast majority of Americans, and I would say of the world that are obese, are not at that level. They're not eating because they hate themselves. They're eating because that's all they know, right?
I can relate to that.
Exactly. So it's the knowledge. That's why I get so passionate about this stuff. That's why I get so upset or, just annoyed when I see this ridiculous knowledge, right, in quotes that they're putting out there that this is the truth. I'm like, that's not the truth. That is going to hurt people in the end. So I try and put out the knowledge. Again, I always say I'm not an expert. I'm just a guy that lost some weight that is trying to share what I know and point you in the right direction, right? Because that's how I learned, was just by reading things and watching videos. So it's that knowledge that people will see. They'll see that PhD. They'll see that she's a social worker, all that stuff. And they're like, well, what they're saying must be gospel because of that piece of paper they have, which is very dangerous. It's all about getting the knowledge for yourself, because then you can make decisions for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree with that.
Go ahead.
I see a lot of people using their studies or that piece of paper to justify what they're talking about, just like Sonali. We're talking a lot about her, but she definitely uses that piece of paper to, make people believe exactly what she's saying. But I've met a lot of individuals who are trainers who went through a lot of schooling, who are some of the worst trainers I've ever spoken to. And I've met some people, Obese Beast over here, who didn't go to school for personal training, but he's pretty knowledgeable on common sense, first of all, and then, just working out and all the basic stuff. So a lot of people do use that piece of paper to just perpetuate their idea of what life should be like.
Yeah, and you have to also cross-check that with experience, because I have a degree in exercise science. However, 99% of what I've learned is the application and what parts of that degree was bullshit. And not even just bullshit, just unnecessary or not applicable. And even when it comes to certifications, because I taught trainers to be certified. I educated them, I prepared them for their exams. So I know what they were taught or they needed to learn. And anyone that's gotten a personal certification watching or listening knows, okay, this is what you take. This is what, this is, NASM or NSCA or AFA, whatever it is. But there's a very small percentage of that that's actually applicable in the real world, because there's so many different aspects of training. But if you're on Instagram, you put that you're a CPT, you put these letters after your name, and then it gives that credibility. And if you have something like self-hate, like you were talking about, John, and then you spread that, and then that self-hate turns into, you know what? I'm perfect the way I am. It's like this kind of releasing of responsibility. And there's so many aspects of society where people do not want to take responsibility, where people do not want to accept that they have control. They're in the driver's seat. And a lot of people, again, you have people that don't want to be in control and don't want to have responsibility. And then other people that don't feel like or don't have the knowledge to understand that they do have control and they actually can make that change. And I loved what you said about knowledge. And that's what kind of like my approach is with elimination diet. Like figure out what these foods, like, I don't care if I'm over that whole thing. Like stop fucking cheating. That's just kind of get people's attention. It's like, if you want to eat a certain food, if you have an amazing physique and you're where you want to be and you want to have a slice of pizza, like I'm not your fucking, I might be Papa Swole, I ain't your daddy. Like I don't give a fuck. It's your life. But if you have the knowledge, okay, that pizza is going to give me the shits for 3 days. I'm going to have a migraine. That information is valuable. Don't you want that? That way you can make a decision whether or not you want to go down that rabbit hole. If you want to do it, it's on you. But if you have information, you can make decisions for your reasons, whatever those reasons are. And knowledge is everywhere. But what are your all thoughts on, because there's so much knowledge, you can't absorb everything.
I want to say that I agree that a lot of people from the body positive community, I don't think they have the knowledge, because like when I was not into this stuff, I just didn't know. So I just thought I was going to be on the path as I'm going to have the same body as everybody else in my family. That's just kind of how it is. And that's what I grew up being told, that this is just how it is for your body and this is what we eat. I didn't have that knowledge telling me that I can change. So I think these people, some of them, I think a lot of them are in it for the money, like Tess Holiday. I think she knows that she can change. But I think some of them really do believe like, oh, this is just how it is.
Thanks for watching, fam. Make sure to subscribe to the Daily Swole podcast on YouTube so you can catch the live streams every single day.